Well, this is rather a depressing video to have to make. You may remember in our council accountability video, round 4.5, where I very excitedly shared with you how well Colchester Council had done in reforming their ways about the unlawful searches. Well, I spoke too soon. We went back to the Environment and Sustainability panel the other week, only to find the unlawful searches as a condition of entrance to a public building and a public meeting had been reinstated. And yet again, the police were back, the third time, I believe. Anyone would think they don't like us coming along to have our say about their faux environmental policies. So last night we went along to the cabinet meeting at the council to have a little chat to them and find out precisely why they feel it necessary to call the police on us every time we turn up, and why they are fearing two middle-aged women coming to have their say with a handful of silver-haired supporters. So if you're local to Colchester and you've been the victim of a serious crime and you just cannot find a police officer for love nor money, if it happens to be when there's an environmental and sustainability panel meeting, just tootle along to the town hall and that's where you'll find them. Though do realise you will run the risk of running into some middle-aged women and some potentially dangerous pensioners.
Good evening. I'm disappointed to have to be here again tonight. Searches as a condition of entrance to a public meeting in a public building are unlawful, an issue we thought Council had mitigated by hiring SIA licensed security staff. Initially the SIA staff did act lawfully, so we were shocked to see the return of unlawful conditions of entry at the last Environment and Sustainability panel. Why hire licensed professionals, then instruct them to break the law? And why the police presence again? Tell us the basis upon why they were there. There's never been any threat of violence from anyone with us. Why would we hurt the very people who are here to serve us? Can Council clarify any basis by which these searches might be lawful in the obvious absence of threats? On the 4th of July, a member of the public came to speak about the searches we're forced to endure. Whilst the unlawfulness was conveyed, there wasn't time to explain what we go through. At the first meeting we attended, we weren't aware of council procedures. Our ignorance and frustration meant people tried to speak at once. It was noisy. It must have been difficult for council, but it was handled very well. The rules were explained and we abided by them. Councillors expressed their views, some of which were met with cheers of applause. What perhaps started poorly ended with councillors enthusiastically thanking us for our somewhat unorthodox participation. Why then, at the next meeting, were the public met by police in a full-body search and scan? The nature of these searches becoming increasingly aggressive. Pockets and their contents grabbed roughly, a lady having her trouser leg yanked up without consent, another having the scanner used to push her legs apart, her inner thigh touched by the device. A formal complaint about this was entered on the 16th of June. No response has been received. Why not? We've had cause to repeatedly mention double standards. It was the council staff themselves that I witnessed assault the public in this very room. A lady holding up an image of an EV bus fire, evidencing the speaker's claim, had fingers pushed firmly into her neck and shoulder in an apparent attempt to force her to stop. What reaction, I wonder, if one of us had done that to a councillor? Not that we would. We don't behave like that. Council's unfounded fears and prejudice should not be pandered to ahead of the law. No one is above the law, and this principle must be upheld and unlawful actions stopped. So who is it within this council instructing the security staff to break the law? Name them. If you cannot assure us right now that these unlawful entrance conditions will cease, then you leave us no alternative but to put in a formal complaint to the SIA about this council and report the door staff. Council's unlawful behaviour mirrors that which is happening in central government. We will not accept this abuse of our rights and liberties, which we are all morally obligated to defend. Thank you.
I'm not going to have an attempt to try and establish who, round the table or away from this place, is responsible for what set of conditions, but I know that they're intended to be proportionate and in accord with whatever regulations and guidance and advice is available from the security industry, or indeed to us as part of the government process. So I do promise you that if you've not had a reply to a formal complaint of June, that you will get one. I will take a personal interest in what is said to you and to colleagues, and in the concerns you've expressed here. My last point, and I'll open this up for any other remarks from colleagues, will be just this. given that members of Parliament and councillors have been attacked at different times, and there have been murders and assaults, it's vanishingly rare, I agree, but there is there is no unfounded fear. There is a genuine concern from some that noise and what could feel like disruption might go worse. I'm not saying that's right, or it's not aimed at you, but just taking the principle, I'd hope you would accept that whilst I was ensure we have a look at this issue again, I'd ask you to acknowledge that there are concerns and they're born out of hard reality of what's happened elsewhere and can happen in some other places, perhaps even in this city.
I appreciate that your argument is there, but changing laws and behaving unlawfully should not happen under the excuse of fear. We have watched the erosion of our rights under the excuse of fear for the last 3 years. So, like I say, there's trust issues here. If you're not letting the public attend a public meeting for any reason, it's breaking the law. Now, you might feel an acceptance to being searched, but there are people who've been abused, and I know of some people who are excluded because they won't put up with the searches. We are happy to have lawful searches. If you feel there's a threat to anyone who's from anyone who's coming into the building, we are not denying you a right to do that. But it is clear from the engagement you've had from some of us people that we are no threat. And it feels very much like a tactic to prevent us or to make it difficult for us. We have had 2 councillors come to us separately because we were aware there was no searches the first time we attended. We had 2 councillors came and stated that it was in response to us turning up. So please allay your fear. We're not here to cause violence, but we do want the unlawful action of council and the government to stop. The only way that's going to happen is us to make you accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. We accept the accountability piece, and as I say, we'll have a look at this. But to my knowledge,
there is the legislation here if you'd like to have a look through how it's unlawful. Thank you. I'll leave that here.
We'll take proper advice on that. To our knowledge, it's not unlawful. If it was, we shouldn't be doing it. There should be shared ground between us. So we'll take this away. We'll have a look at this. I will come back to you. Thank you.
Unlawful behaviour seems commonplace, so we are challenging that. Thank you.
As we mentioned last time, okay, you can't block someone coming to a public meeting, and I'll leave this with you. Okay. The building has always been in public ownership. That was let me get my supervisor. Yeah. The law says you cannot stop people coming to a public meeting.
No, we're
so
not.
If you're demanding that we cannot come in without a search, you are stopping us coming to a public meeting.
Okay.
Are you not?
No, we're not. We're not. We've just imposed some conditions of entry to the building, which is normal practice for a building to have conditions of entry, and we're just enforcing those.
It's for events. It's for events. Yes.
Yeah.
But this is a public meeting.
It is a public meeting. We're very welcome to attend it. The condition of entry is that you submit to a
Yeah,
search.
but this is for events. This is not for public meetings.
It's for all events that take place.
No, it's not. Events and meetings are completely 2 different things.
Now you might say that,
But
I'm
if you're
still-
stopping us from coming in, you're breaking the law. And this was updated in 2021.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm still going to stick with
No,
my guns.
that's your
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
So your final position is that you're not going to follow this legislation, that you're going to stop us coming in unless we agree to so.
I am in the document.
So you're saying that your conditions of entry supersedes the legislation from Parliament?
So under duress,
Legislation from Parliament says that we must not be.
You're going to go to the search. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So is there specific items you're looking for then?
Yes, there are. We're looking for all sorts of things. So
Like,
yeah, anything that could be used as part of a search. It's all listed up there, actually. Anything that could be used as part of a demonstration.
Yeah.
Any weapons, any illegal substances, all
Yeah.
the usual things.
okay, well,
But the extra items we tend to look out for are things that might be used as a demonstration.
So, for the record, I have absolutely no issue whatsoever with them searching me, should they so wish. What I have an issue with is the legality of it. So, if they give me a choice, I've always said yes. But when we're forced into it, it's the lawfulness of it all. Now, that might sound very petty in that we're splitting hairs, yada, 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 but if you give them an inch, they take a mile. So we're taking our inches back, is what we're doing. That's the purpose of all of this. Because having read all of the future plans with absolute zero, net zero policies, etc., we really need to gain some inches here, because the things that are coming down the pipe are going to be very life-changing, and I don't think anybody's going to be happy with them. So that's why we're hammering so hard on what may appear to be just an inconsequential thing It's not. It's the principle that we're trying to show, that they are accountable and we will hold them to account on absolutely everything. So it will be interesting to see what happens at the next Environment and Sustainability panel. Police or no police? Place your bets in the comments below.